Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Global Outlook is sponsored by Maury's newsletter, Global Outlook. To get a complimentary copy, you can log on to our website, theworldreport.org. President Obama admits that he had no plan for post-Libya Gaddafi. We're also starting to see, as Europe is being swallowed up by the migrants, Merkel is going to charge citizens for doing anti-Islamic poetry. This, to me, is becoming the biggest story in the world, is how the entire European Union can just be swallowed up by the Islamist takeover, invasion, if you will. I don't know if I'm legally can say that anymore or not. Maybe I'll get charges on me. But we're starting to get to the point where any criticism of Islam, you're going to be tried for a crime.
Well, let's put it this way. You're scared to issue your real feelings about it because somebody will make a big deal out of it and could get you into trouble if you're working for some organization.
And people are scouring social media, following posts, and if you mention anything negative about Islam...
Especially in the colleges today, the colleges have become a breeding ground of education that sublimates Islam and ridicules any religion other than the Muslim religion, and they're anti-Semitic. They're out to get Israel. I mean, all the things that are being taught in top colleges and universities today are literally anti-American. And I'll say one thing: the media is pretty good about that. They're giving you almost every day now examples of what's happening in the colleges, as far as what the liberal professors are teaching the students.
And these little snowflakes, they need their own little safe space because they can't tolerate certain words. I've never seen anything so pathetic in my whole... I never thought I would see this in my lifetime. But this has become ridiculous.
I think what the real tragedy is what's happening to Europe. If you go back, let's go back to the middle, well, let's go back before the First War in 1914. Europe literally controlled 80% of the world through colonies.
Britain, for that matter.
Britain had most of it, but China was under the sway of various European countries. There was hardly... all of Africa was colonized by the Europeans. I'm not saying this was good. It just happened because they weren't ruling themselves in many cases.
And you're just spotlighting how far they've fallen in a short period of time.
So Europe was the kingpin of the world. The United States was a side issue. You know, I'm a great admirer of Otto von Bismarck, the great Chancellor of Germany, who was fired by the Kaiser in 1908 because he was taking too much power unto himself, even though he was responsible for uniting Germany in 1871 after they defeated the French. And he made the comment, and he said, "The good Lord takes good care of drunks, people that aren't working, unemployed, and the United States of America." Because he was saying he was jealous of the United States of America because the United States had two oceans defending it, and in the north you had Canada and South Mexico that were never going to invade the United States. So he said here was a country that was someday going to be the real... He predicted that the United States was going to be the most important country in the world, which in 1914 we were a sideshow at that particular point. So, but what's happened to Europe today, I think the worst thing that could have ever happened was the European community. They had close to 500 million people living in Europe, and that goes all the way to Eastern Europe, the Baltic, the Balkans, Germany, France, Britain, Italy. So they felt that it'd make it like the United States.
You can't force that many people of that many different races and factions and cultures.
We have states. They said, well, we'd be the United States of Europe instead of the United States of America. United States of America, sure, we have states with states' rights and certain privileges that they...
And you've got the South, which has its little...
it has its own background.
Stereotypes
but
in the
still,
North.
Basically, I would say, even today, with all the problems we've got, we still basically are Americans. And at this particular stage, even though we criticize a lot of it, we were still basically a patriotic country as far as policies that we try to implement.
And you know what amazes me is as we watch Europe basically be overrun and be invaded, and we watch 500, 600 migrants drowned in ships trying to get to Europe, if you criticize Islam, then you're going to be facing a crime. And yet these same leftist college punks that support gay rights say nothing about the fact that they throw you off of a building if you're gay in the Middle East, and yet they support Islam.
They don't even understand Sharia.
They don't understand any of it.
Sharia law, which is totally against Judeo-Christian law basis that is being used in Western countries. But the worst part of this is the fact that the European community is taking it with a certain amount of
ho-hum.
Yeah, a certain amount of indifference. Well, if it has to be, it has to be. And the last country, having been born in Germany and being very Germanic in my attitude even today, I can't believe after the crimes that were committed against German women on New Year's Day by the hundreds, rapes and assaults and so on.
And it's still happening.
It's happening, and they're not doing anything about it. I mean, they were very good under the Nazis to kill all the Jews they could.
Angela Merkel is actually going to start charging citizens for criticizing Islam. That's how backwards and upside down this has become.
That's how twisted she is. Somehow she's trying to relate that to the fact, well, we were so bad to the Jews, now we'll make it up to the Muslims, as if there was some parity between the two events.
And as if you're doing these people any favors by bringing them in. They're out of their culture, they're out of their element, and now you're going to have to start building mosques and accommodating their religion and their lifestyle, which if you want to bring people in, I can understand that. But when you've got an invasion on your hands, you've got to do something to stop the crossover.
One of the greatest symbols of that is the Cathedral of Cologne, which was one of the most fabulous, largest cathedrals anywhere in the world. The Muslims are now building a mosque that's higher than right next door to the cathedral.
And as we've said in recent shows, Saudi Arabia is not taking any of these people in. No. They've got thousands and thousands of tents for their annual Hajj or whatever it's called. I probably said that wrong. In Mecca, they could house hundreds of thousands of these people, and they won't even let them come to the country. Neither will Jordan or the UAE or any one of these Muslim countries. So,
well, Jordan is forced to do it. I think that's the one exception. But the other countries, forget it. They don't want them. They want them out of there. And a lot of these, I think this is one thing that Trump has in one of his policies, is to defer any further immigration in the United States. But Obama is trying to force thousands and thousands of these kind of refugees onto the United States.
Well, they're forcing people into the country from south of the border as well. And they're also not policing the visa program. So they're letting people come in the front door and then stay. And it's all intentional.
To me, what is being done out of Washington, and especially out of the White House, is treason.